this is going to be a deck tech talk about Control Warrior. So let's go over the core first. So I'll just put in the core of the deck. This is the core of Control Warrior, in my opinion, at least. So this is the core of your deck, and I'm just going to talk over what type of other cards you use, like depending on the meta, and what type of tech cards can you add. So the old school Control Warrior skipped turns the 4 and 5 mana cost cards, and instead they opted for Frothing Berserkers instead. Problem with this thing, I think it's slightly outdated, mainly just due to the fact that you lose a lot of tempo by doing it this method. However, as a deck is like a reactive type of deck, it's actually not that big of a deal. But I'll go over some of the cards that you can use in the current meta, which is a bit more updated. So first off is, let's just go with the Korkrons. Korkron and Azure. There's your inside slots. And then we usually will add Brawl Faceless. And then here you add your 6 drops. So that's Sylvanas. And we'll add, oops, I forgot the acolytes. Yeah, so we'll just add one of the 6 drops. So this is like one version. It's a bit slightly more aggressive. Weaknesses to the deck. There's no taunts, so you do struggle a little bit against a lot of the burst classes out there. But Korkron Elite gives you like a lot more flexibility against mid-range hunter, against other Control Warriors. So Korkron's actually quite a nice update, but in the current meta there's no hunters, so usually this has been taken out. The other tech choice you can add instead is either Yetis or Tazdingos. Yetis like smooth the curve out and give you like another minion that eats removal. So if you don't find that you need taunts, then I find Yeti to be the right choice in this spot. Else, in my current version at least, you run Tazdingos. In different card metas, you might also swap this 4-drop for your Spellbreaker, but those are pretty much your 4 options in terms of, you can either get like Korkron, which is the aggressive type, Yeti, which is the most value, Sen'jin, the most defensive, and then Spellbreaker is a bit like on the techie side. So now I'll talk about like other tech cards that you might want to swap in, being Black Knight and Harrison. This is assuming you have all the cards, by the way. So choices between Black Knight and Harrison. Harrison you want to take if there's, again, Hunters, Warriors, and Rogues. So currently in the meta which I'm playing at, which is around 2-ish, there's just so many Druids, so Harrison loses a bit of its value. However, since there's so many Druids, I recommend a Black Knight edition. So we'll swap out Sylvanas for Black Knight. Now, the only other tech choices you might want to run is Big Game Hunter or Blood Knight. So Big Game Hunter, are you facing a lot of Warriors or Handlocks? Currently, no, so Big Game Hunter is not as useful since you already have decent removal anyway. So Big Game Hunter, it's not that useful. And most of the Druid decks I've run into actually don't run Ragnaros. They've kind of like cut that out. Half of them do, half of them don't. So I've excluded Big Game Hunter, as you usually have enough removal anyway with the deck. Alright, so, and then finally, the only other type of choices that you could make instead of this would be to swap out your Azure Drakes. So sometimes you actually don't want Azure Drakes. So if you're fighting a lot of Zoo, you might want to put in Kodos and Wild Pyromancers. I personally don't really like Cleave. So if you are fighting a lot of Zoo, I'd personally put some Pyros in and maybe cut out one Slam. This is the other card you could cut. So that's pretty much like all the tech cards that you might want to cut in for Warrior. So this is an overall review. Your 4-drop is the most important one. So depending on the meta, you either use Senjins, Yetis, Korkrons, or Spellbreakers. And then other than that, your 5 slots are very, very flexible. So you either, like, this is all your tech cards. If you're finding a lot of control matchups, then you might want to put a lot of your beefy 6s in, like Sylvanas, Khan, maybe even Sunwalker if you're finding you're dying a lot. If you're finding the games are going really long, you're finding a lot of control decks, then maybe double Faceless is another option. And yeah, so the cards you would cut are the Brawls and this middle section here. So hope this helped you out in deciding on how to build your warrior. And if you do have the cards, it's a very fun and flexible deck. So I recommend you try it out. I'll quickly post the list I'm currently using, which is this one here. So hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys next time.